Welcome, global audience, to the Global Days of Unity and another session of the Upload. We're so excited to be with you again this month with the Global Days of Unity and present some amazing pieces of inspirational content from around the world, from many, many different sectors, from music, from scientists, from business economists. So we're happy to be here again. And my name is Chris Decker, and with my dear brother, Adil Kassam.
Hey, Chris, good to be with you, man. It's gonna be fun this week. We chose some good things that we're gonna have some, interesting conversations around and explore. So it'll be fun. Stoked.
Yeah, it's the Upload show. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time this month, it's a show where we just really sort of present these positive, inspirational pieces from around the world that really represent unity, peace, and love. And at this point right now in the world, we definitely need more positivity and more unity so we can really just transcend this paradigm we're all in. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first piece. We're going to start with a musical piece, and it's from a Native American artist and traditional dancer from the Crow Nation who's called Superman. And he mixes conscious hip hop with traditional Native American dance and music and songs. So we hope you enjoy this journey.
Is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians and use labels? Now that's racism.
I don't wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I don't wanna Hawaii. No, why? I don't wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I don't wanna Hawaii. No, why? I don't wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I don't wanna Hawaii. No, why? I don't wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I don't wanna Hawaii. No,
Why is there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why?
I don't wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I don't wanna Hawaii. No, why? I don't wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I don't wanna Hawaii. No, why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. No, why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. No, why?
Well, that was an amazing piece of fusion of ancient and modern coming together. So wow, what a great, he's an amazing artist. We connected a few years back at the Unity concert in South Dakota with the Sioux Nation. They had an amazing event there, and he's really cutting the edge of bringing Native American traditional culture into the modern age. So that was a great piece. Coming up next, we have another great inspirational piece called What If We Can Transform Before We Die by Dr. Zach Bush. Dr. Zach Bush is a physician specializing in internal medicine and hospice care. He's an internationally recognized educator and thought leader on the microbiome as it relates to health. This is an incredible piece and very relevant for our times. We hope you enjoy it.
In the ICUs, when I was practicing intensive hospital medicine, I got the privilege of being around human beings at the end of life. At the end of life, we've termed it death. We have the belief in our subconscious because of our big divorce from the death process. It's become sterilized. And it's allowed death to be defined as an endpoint, as a contraction or a disappearance, rather than what I've actually seen it to be. A massive expansion of consciousness, of reality, of awareness, and ultimately of love. And the most poignant examples of this are people that actually die biologically, and we spend 15 or 30 minutes in an ICU resuscitating them with drugs and shocking their chest like you see on TV shows. And they've meanwhile been in the ICU for weeks, months in some cases before they'd have this moment. And by this time, they've been isolated away from humans for quite some time. They're only touched by latex gloved hands. Only people with gowns on will come and see them. They have masks on. They haven't seen a human face close up in months. You know, they're just so isolated and lonely. And I had one ICU shift that was very weird. And during that night, I see 3 people die and I bring them all back. And every single one of them, their first sentence was always, "Why did you bring me back?" And then as they start to get oriented, they are telling their loved ones, "I went into this space and it was bright white light everywhere. And in that moment, felt completely accepted for the first time in my life." Death is not an endpoint. It's a transformation moment. It's an expansion beyond the limits of this frail biologic shell that we carry around. And the instant that we step out of that, we find out that the universe embraces us in every single second of our existence in complete acceptance of who we are. We are enough in and of our own identity of I am at every second of every point of our existence. When you back up for a moment and say, okay, we're killing ourselves, but what if we need a death moment to transform completely? To let go of all of the preconceived notions of what it is to be human, and to say, you know what, we are beings of light, and we are completely accepted at every moment, including this moment when we would rape the earth, when we would kill each other at the rate we do, when we would destroy the entire ecosystem of a green planet in the middle of black space. When we would have that level of hubris, we're still completely accepted. And our journey is somehow understood by something more benevolent and more complete than we can see as human beings. What if we all looked at each other in wonder and awe and said, "You're enough. I accept you completely. I want to be with you. I want to live with you. I want to be alive." And so we are here. 7 billion of us showed up right now. 7 billion of those white souls that seconds after death are going to realize that they are who they've always been. They're fully accepted, and they are moving in true love. What if we can transform before we die? Then there's no reason to go to Mars. There's no reason to go anywhere else. Because we will do absolutely every single thing differently here on Earth. And we're going to do it differently by just that simple recognition of I am who I am, you are who you are. That's enough, and I accept you completely. And let's figure out how to do this within the design of nature. There's enough energy, there's enough food, there's enough resources for everybody on the planet to thrive at a level that's never been experienced in human history. We cannot continue any form of human economic systems that have ever existed before and expect us to escape the death moment. We literally have to reinvent everything. It is you who are being called to transform because you showed up right when you did. As we are going to transform, period. And it may be right out to the point of our death, or miraculously, it might just happen right before it.
Chris, did you know that I had a brush with death once? Like, I had a near-death experience, actually.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that's amazing.
I ever tell you about it? It was very similar to what they described, and in that, you know, I actually didn't even know that I had crossed over, but I had I could see my body at a certain point. I had an aneurysm, and yeah, it was one of the most powerful experiences of my life. I'd met my grandmother who'd passed on years before, and she's there greeting me, and I was like, and I had asked her, did I die? And she said, well, sorta. And she said, what do you want to do? What do you want? And I didn't know what my choices were. And I almost recounted my entire life, all my experiences very rapidly, like every memory, to feel like, what is it that I'd want to do? And I told her I wanted to go home, and she laughed, and it was so beautiful. She was like, which home? And I said, what choice do I have? And she's like, do you want to go back to the light, like home, or do you want to go back with your sister? She said. And I had to take some time to think about it, really think about it, because it was so beautiful. It was so wonderful, actually. And, you know, it really made me feel and know in some level that we live on, our souls live on lifetime after lifetime. In fact, I got so deep into like studying it and researching it after that to be like, other people had this kind of experience, and indeed they had. So it makes you live your life as a warrior, you know, knowing that, like as the Toltecs say, that death is stalking you at every moment. And if you knew that, if you're really aware of that, how would you live right now? What would you do? Who would you love? You know, what would you say to your mother? Like, what would you do for another human being if you knew that death was actually stalking you? And
that's so profound. And so thank you for sharing that, Adil. And I think it's so relevant for this time because, you know, with COVID happening and there's this sort of feeling of death present, you know, so much in the media of how many deaths, how many, you know, people are passing and how many people are getting sick, but there's also the death that's happening of a system, you know, so it's an inevitable thing. And there's this great saying of let's not focus on what's breaking down, let's focus on what's breaking through. And I love the way Dr. Zach just brought us into this sense of like hope, you know, like we are the ones who have arrived, and because we've been, you know, we have chosen this to move forward and to bring us out of this, and to understand that death is just part of the process, you know, and that's what we have not spent any time in our lives, really, like you were saying, like, you know, we don't spend time like really going deep within and really knowing that things just need to let go and transform and move on, and the energy is always evolving. So yeah, amazing. That's an amazing piece. That piece just got released a few weeks ago too, so that's fresh from the zeitgeist, as we say.
Yeah, poignant, really poignant for, I think, many people, especially if they have a brush with COVID, like you're saying. I know right when COVID was released, I got sick. And, you know, in all honesty, I went there, I'm like, oh shit, like, what if? And I had to really take, and, you know, the blessing of this time is that we don't have to go to work. We don't have to, you know, like stress out to go do anything. We can, you know, really take some time to think about, you know, why are we here and how have we lived our lives? You know, have we completed what we wanted to do? It was a powerful moment for me. It was a scary moment. And for those of you that are, you know, watching this and having your own brush with mortality, maybe someone in your family is experiencing COVID or, you know, you are, and we live on.
It's in the field because, you know, we're told to wear masks so we don't get sick. So it's actually this fear of, you know, of our mortal self, you know, this fear of letting go and dying. That's pretty much what's happening in the space. It's so relevant right now.
Like this might be the greatest opportunity then for us to face that and go through a collective transformation. I really address that. Yeah.
As Dr. Zach said in that video, we got no choice. It's happening. So just surrender and let go and be present. Great.
What's next? We've got so this show, what me and Chris kind of felt about doing was a little collaboration between the Heart of Unify and the Heart of Uplift, and meeting with our respective crews, we kind of choose the best of from the week, videos that moved us or pieces that have affected us emotionally, or in some way opened our perspective to something that we didn't know. So really excited to show you the next piece, which is about a film called Fantastic Fungi. And so watching this film with Fantastic Fungi and getting to meet the filmmakers, it was like I got to dive so kind of deeply into, wow, that the perspective of unity consciousness is actually shared by animals and is shared by the fungi. It's something that's common to all of us. It gave me great perspective on it. It was actually extremely moving. Yeah. So let's roll with it.
My mission is to discover the language of nature, and I believe nature is intelligent.
There is a world under the earth, full of magic and mystery. It holds the consciousness of nature's connection to all living things.
These mushrooms, they can heal you, they can feed you, they can kill you.
It's not like a vegetable, and it's not like an animal, but it's somewhere in between.
They support life, they convert life.
As you're walking, there's about 300 miles of fungi under every footstep that you take, and that's all over the world.
The bulk of the organism is growing underground, and it's composed of these long threads called a mycelium.
Almost everyone knows about the computer internet. The mycelium shares the same network design.
It's amazing what we don't know about mushrooms. They really are a frontier of knowledge.
You can filter water. You can create medicinal compounds almost on demand.
They have incredible capacity to make things change very quickly. So I am super hopeful.
The psychedelic members of the mushroom kingdom are fascinating.
I have been a guide for around 350 psilocybin sessions.
The most glorious part was that it made me feel more comfortable with living because you're not afraid of dying.
We need to have a paradigm shift in our consciousness. What will it take to achieve that?
We can heal the planet. We can build the future. And our world is fantastic.
Chris, it's a courageous film. Truthfully, it's like one of those films where if you've ever ventured into the world of psychedelics, you're like, whoa, they went for it right in the game. It was awesome. I loved it.
It's the concept of a forest talking to each other is what I remember Paul Stamets is in that movie, being at a few events with him in the past, and just watching his talk and how we see a tree over here and a tree over there, and we think, oh, trees are just, separated, in the soil, but the actual fungi, that mycelium connection creates this web of connection between the whole forest, and all the trees can actually talk to each other. I mean, that's amazing. I love this frontier.
Man, if you've had a chance to experience with psychedelics, it feels like you enter that world of communication. It's like, it always leaves me feeling like, wait, is this actually happening all the time? And we're just, it's like getting to tune into more radio stations, or am I actually just making this up? But it always, more I experiment, the more I feel that, from a place of sacredness, that it's actually really like that. Like all of intelligence and all of nature is actually communicating. It's fascinating.
Once again, we're all connected. We're all one.
I wanted to just say thank you to Stephen and Marcina from Reconsider Films. So if you get a chance, go to reconsider.org. And if you enjoyed Fantastic Fungi, you can actually dive deeper into their body of work. They're amazing filmmakers, like really courageous. Our next piece was produced actually by a good friend of ours, that Kit Thomas. And if you have got a chance on Unify and Uplift to see Artists for Amazonia, Kit Thomas is one of the main producers with that, with John Quigley and Atoso Sultani. And so on Earth Day, we linked up a bit, and we worked together quite a few times, and for different causes. And he's just one of these storytellers who does it for the love. And it's just like, he was really excited about this piece with Rex Weiler, who's the founder of Greenpeace, and he sent it over, and I thought it was a really poignant piece. It gave me some permission to go a little crazy out in the woods. I might have taken off my clothes and ran through the woods, and I'll play it for you. You'll see what I mean.
Ecology is about falling in love with the natural world and humbling yourself to the point that you can become an apprentice of nature, not trying to manage nature and manage human society and fix the world. Ecology is about having a deep, loving relationship with the natural world to the point where you become the apprentice of the wild world, and you begin to learn through your love for the natural world how to be a real person. And that's the deeper goal of ecology, is that consciousness that you are a wild animal, somewhat civilized, educated perhaps. But you're still a wild animal, and you live in a wild habitat. And when you have that consciousness and you feel it all around you, never forget that that blood coursing through your veins was coursing through the rest of the world before you were here. And all of that energy and breath and air, everything running through your body has come from this natural world around you. You are that world. And that's ecology.
Wow, that was a great piece. That was a really great piece. And I love that quote, become an apprentice of nature. You know, we've just our society has just for so long just considered nature something we can just destroy and overtake and clear cut. But to actually drop deep and realize that nature is our teacher, it's our greatest teacher, and to become an apprentice to that, that's a beautiful quote.
I'm a great proponent of rewilding yourself. I try to explain this to my wife all the time, and she's like, "You're just a little animal." I'm not. I'm like a bee. I love nature. I've been falling so in love with the nature here in Canada. We have so much more time, and to actually take time to enjoy and learn from the cycles of nature. It's like all about that rewilding, Chris.
Yeah, I love that quote too. Like, we're all animals. That's basically just the truth, you know.
Right.
We definitely evolve, but yeah, just to understand that that's who, you know, at essence, we're an animal living in this beautiful wild garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, this next piece I'm so excited about. Chris, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about like what we're experiencing today. Here, you know, and everyone's having their own individual experience, and we're actually having a shared experience. The way it's been described is, you know, like, well, there's our individual story and there's the mythos that we're living in. The mythos is the shared story of our existence but we take it really for granted. You know, like, how is that story formed? You know, there's of course the events and details of our lives, but that form our own personal narrative and our own hero's journey. But you know, in this day and age and with what's happening, it's like, I think it's a very important narrative to begin to consider how you're forming your story or the mythos around you, what you're contributing to with what you write on the internet, what you produce, what you create, what you ingest, what you take in. I'm really excited to introduce this next piece, because it's not just a video. This is an opportunity.
It seems that there's a kind of remembering going on. It is very recent that our vision has been focused on like a foot in front of us. Until very recently, we were always aware of things at the very edge. That's where the genius lives. And stories tell us that when a culture is in crisis, it is not things right here that are going to help. In fact, what they're going to do is hypnotize. Lots of stories talk about the move from the village to the forest and back again. And for 4 days and for 4 nights, they would be alone in a cave or on the top of a hill or a deep forest where the living world itself would infuse them with its stories, with its bone memory. Those stories would be the thing that revitalized and re-galvanized the village. There is an imagination at play at which the human is only a participant in the imagination of the earth itself, the soul of the world, the soul of the world, and the stories that stick with us have a more than human intelligence in them. Catch a glimpse of that. What myth will do, it'll bring your naivety out into the meadow and it'll cut its throat. Myth says, listen, if you want to start the business of becoming a human being, at some point you have to trade a little innocence for some experience. This is when your betrayals come into the mix. This is when your heartbreak comes into the mix. This is when illness comes into the mix. If you only have an above ground perception of those things, they're just bad news. They're just bad news. But if you have a mythic underpinning, if you have a cultural understanding of it, it is an invitation to be troubled into conversation with your own soul. You and I need an uncolonized imagination. You ready for a story? One of the most compelling stories I've ever heard is The Handless Maiden. Do it. He raised that little silver axe. This is not a story where she, on her own, through her own individuation and heartbreak, grew her hands back. She grew them back in community. She grew them back in a community of women. That is a radical proposition in myth. We have to wake up. We have to come back to our senses. But I'm not going to close the door on the miraculous just yet. We're going to give you stories for each of the pockets of your jacket that you can carry through any number of situations. Start with that little story, the fox woman, the lindworm, tattered, the handless maiden. This is talking about unions within the psyche. She needs to cloak a story. This is a fabulous phrase. Be famous for 5 miles. How on earth do you get a story into your body? I draw a kind of skeleton map. So once you've located where you are in the story, you are yourself today, right here, going to tell the damn thing. And whatever kind of life you're having, underneath it is a deep story, and we're going to connect you to it. To speak from that, to speak from an earth that thinks in myth, was what I set out to do, and is now what I do and teach.
Wow. Such poignant work. Really, the work of stories. Wow. You know, it's true. Stories shape us. I mean, I love that quote. Uncolonized imagination. We have to decolonize ourselves because we're just an impression of our cultural heritage, our family and our parents and our generational stories that have come through and have created so much separation. And, you know, the truth is we are all one, you know, and what is the story? What's the story right now? I mean, the stories right now, you can look around and there's immense stories of fear and collapse. And do we want to make that our true belief? That's what's going to happen? We're going to be living in fear forever? Or what's our new story? So I think this moment, this is a very important piece of work, I think, Adil, that you and, you know, you're bringing out to the world with the Unify, creating this body of work around stories and really diving deep into understanding the mythos, you know, and understanding that we can actually reshape and shape and build a new story for humanity, which is so important right now.
That's a super good point, Chris. And you know, it starts, the invitation of the course is going to be able to, once you understand how your own story is formulated, to become an author of your story. And you have to understand the underpinnings of how that story is shaped and how we're creating it as we contribute to the story of mankind. It's such an important narrative right now. And you consider, like, you know, in times past, well, what was the purpose of story? The shamans, the leaders of the tribe would paint a picture in our minds and imbue us with something we'd revisit time and time again. We might be laden with parables and fables, and, you know, it give us a lens to actually look at the world. And you consider, what is shaping our story today? Who's shaping our story today? You know, we rely almost entirely on the media, and we adopt those thoughts out of these moving images, and, you know, they become our imagination, they become our dreams, or even our nightmares. So it's an extraordinarily important thing for us to learn, I think, at this stage, and take power of, and contribute to in a conscious way, if we want a different story.
I so love, you know, the work that you're doing with Unify and the work that we're doing with Uplift and Global Days of Unity, is to actually share the positive stories, you know, that can help bring that light and allow us to illuminate the fact that we actually have we can actually create a positive narrative for humanity. It's not all doom and gloom, you know, and there's so much going on out there, you know, on the frontiers, as we've seen with some of these pieces, right across all the sectors, you know, from art to science to economics. It's amazing. It's really happening. So yeah, shaping those stories, you know, and not getting sucked in the vacuum of the negative media engine is definitely, it's a journey. It's a journey for all of us. So yeah, that's a great piece.
And for those of you parents out there that are maybe concerned about like feeling the burden of having to homeschool your children, Uplift and Unify are going to be working together with many other creative houses and collaborators to create courses that are worthy of your time, that are worthy of your life. And this is just our first sort of test, and there's many coming on the backs of this that we'll be producing together. But, you know, our goal is to create these courses in such a way that parents and their children could watch it together, that it's so inspiring that a dialogue could emerge about something meaningful. Perhaps, you know, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to begin the sincere transfer of wisdom from the parents to the children. And there's a wisdom that comes from the children to the parents too, but it requires that love, that meeting, that connection, that dialogue. So we have a little thesis on how we're going to explore the unification through learning. And it'll be a pretty fun adventure. Look out for this after Peace Day, you know, after around September 21st, we'll be releasing things individually and together. That it's going to be an adventure that we create together. So
I like the, you know, this amazing moment in history that we have, because as we saw in one of our early videos, you know, there's this death happening, but it actually opens up incredible potential and possibility to create a new story, you know, to create these new systems, if you like. And this is exciting work. Shall we move on to our next one? I'm excited to share another video from a great artist. Kuti Man is an Israeli musician, composer, and producer and animator, and he's well known for his video series Through the City. Now, this is an incredible artist, because what he does is he goes to a city and he really allows himself to emerge and immerse himself in all the vibes of that city. And he uses all different aspects of the city as a big musical collage and makes a video clip. And the one we're going to show you today is called Through Tokyo. And it's a great, I mean, I've been to Tokyo quite a few times. I've been to Japan quite a few times, and he completely nailed the essence of the Japanese culture. And he's done this in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, in Hamburg, in quite a few cities of the world. So he's really, really one of our faves. So enjoy this one.
こんにちは。
Well, that was incredible video. I mean, he truly caught the essence of Tokyo. He's such a genius creator. I love this concept of bringing the ancient once again into the modern and fusing it together and creating this mashup. And it really represents, you know, unity through diversity. And that's, yeah, what a wonderful expression.
That was an awesome choice, Chris. I've never been to Tokyo, so that was like, oh, that's actually what the flavor is like. It's like, there's such an eclectic little culture. Awesome.
And super fun, you know, and quirky as well. But yeah, so our next piece that we'd like to share with you all is from Gaur Gopal Das. And he's an Indian monk, conscious filmmaker, and inspirational speaker who shares deeper spiritual insights with the world. He's actually quite a YouTube star in India, and he's had over 500 million views. So we hope you enjoy this one. It's called 5 Things to Do Every Morning from Gaur Gopal Das.
Do you guys know something? Each one of you watching this video opened 2 very special gifts this morning. Guess what? Your eyes. I often say, last night was the last night for some, and we are blessed with another chance to live a better life. And we can make the most out of our day and thus out of our life if we begin our day in a proper state of mind. Here are the 5 things to dwell upon as soon as you are up every single day. Number 1, begin your day with gratitude. Don't just charge your phones, watches, tablets, or laptops the first thing in the morning. Charge yourself up as well with positivity that will last you all day. And the most powerful of all positive emotions that will make you feel empowered is gratitude. Because it forces you to shift your attention to your blessings than to your problems, which are anyways going to be an integral part of all of our lives. Second, resolve to have a positive vision. Nobody, including ourselves, is perfect. Everybody has a good and a not so good side to them. And the tendency of the mind is to look at the not so good side. Every morning, resolve that you'll try and look at the positive side of people and neglect or deal with the dark side. Because the more we focus on the negative, our mind becomes occupied with others' faults, ruining our work, our day, our peace, our joy, and even our relationships. Third, trust the broader plan. Tell yourself that whatever is going to happen today, the apparent good or the apparent bad, is exactly what I need at this point of time in my life. Nothing more, nothing less. Have complete trust that every incident that's going to happen throughout the day, that which is beyond your control, is simply a small part of a much larger picture that will unfold eventually only for your good and your well-being. Keep reminding yourself of this as you're confronted with challenging situations through the day. Number 4, do the small things right. Although folding your sheets or comforters may seem small, they lead to a very big attitude. Like the US Navy Admiral William McRaven said, making your bed in the morning will reinforce the fact that little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you will never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you'll come back home to a bed which you made, and a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. And number 5, decide to help someone. Don't they say everyone you meet is fighting a battle that you know nothing about? Be kind, be helpful, invest the energy of empathy, love, and kindness in people around you, and you'll receive the same back when you need it the most. Also, try to have a spiritual practice in your morning routine, a deeper connection which will illuminate your inside so you can brighten the outside. And after having done all of these, remember, जिंदगी की हर सुबह कुछ शर्तें लेकर आती है और हर शाम कुछ तजुर्बे देकर जाती है. Every morning will bring some challenges and every evening will leave us with wisdom and experience with which we are ready to open our two gifts in a fresher way the next day, if we are allowed to.
Yeah, that was a beautiful expression. Just, just simple things like, just gratitude. I love that line. Don't charge your cell phone first thing in the morning. Don't turn that on, which we've so conditioned to do.
I gotta totally practice that.
But to actually charge your body, with the sense of gratitude. So simple, just very beautiful, just things to do.
I don't know if anybody out there is feeling this. I go through little waves of it, but sometimes senses of hopelessness or meaninglessness, kind of in the face of everything that's happening. Like, we're seeing some of the highest rates of anxiety and depression in modern history. Well, we've gone through a massive pattern interrupt, and we don't have the same social fabric and the same, congregations and the same access maybe to the rhythm of the life that we came to enjoy. So being isolated is a thing. Good old Jason Silva's got a little bit of wisdom on this. Hit it.
So it seems at the moment that humanity is suffering a kind of collective soul sickness. There is a global epidemic of existential distress. The numbers don't lie. Anxiety and depression is being diagnosed at levels we've never seen before. The United Nations, in fact, has said that 800,000 people a year now are committing suicide across the globe. That is a larger number than the amount of people that die from armed conflict and natural disasters combined. The question is whether this should surprise us. Perhaps our personal narratives, our collective cultural operating system, our cultural narratives about who and what we are have hit their limit. They are no longer serving us. I mean, at the end of the day, should this surprise us? The philosopher Tolstoy said that man cannot live without finding a way to bridge the finite with the infinite, right? Kafka said man cannot live without a continuous belief of something indestructible within himself, right? We need to commune with the eternal, with the cosmos, in order to impregnate our life with meaning and signification. Now, religion used to provide this narrative, provided this existential blanket, right? Blanketing us from the void by telling us we will live forever in the kingdom of God. But increasing sophistication, increasing scientific awareness and knowledge, and increasing intelligence has actually made us more anxious because these old narratives are no longer serving us. I believe the epidemic of depression and anxiety and general malaise and meaninglessness comes from this unique awareness that we are mortal beings. But perhaps what we need is a different story. Perhaps what we need is a cognitive reframing. Something really funny happens to astronauts when they go into orbit. These are secular materialistic engineers. These guys, on the back of science and knowledge, cruise into the orbiting of the planet. All of a sudden, they see the Earth as a single, solitary marble floating in the cosmos. They see everything they've ever known as just one thing. They see themselves and their planet as one. And this psychic transformation is known as the astronaut overview effect. Apparently, such a dramatic change in perspective, such a dramatic recontextualization of what we are changes us. And this ontological awareness gets rid of the feeling of meaninglessness and all of a sudden informs our whole phenomenological worldview with this idea that we are part of something greater than ourselves, is a sense of noetic ultimate truth that goes deeper than everyday reality, right? And in that moment, that poetic hijacking of awareness and understanding, that overview effect, changes these astronauts forever. So how do we give more of us this kind of experience? Do we willingly induce metaphysical, mystical experiences in the labs of psychiatry? Are we on the cusp of uncovering a telescope for psychiatry and for the mind? Are we going to take a knobs and levers approach to fundamentally change our awareness? The point being is we need a new narrative. We need to awaken to our true condition. We need to transcend our amnesis, which is the forgetting of the forgetting, and remember what we forgot. So this is a call to upgrade. This is a call to hack yourself. This is a call to become something more. We are a chrysalis about to turn into a butterfly. We are undergoing a metamorphosis and are about to spread our wings. We are not a cancer upon our host planet. We are a fetus, and this is our birth canal. It may be bloody, it may be turbulent, but we can be reborn anew. We can come out on the other side, transformed, transcended. It is our birthright. It is our calling. It is beckoning, my friends. It's a call to awakening.
Good old Jason Silva throwing it down. What an interesting concept, the overview effect. And for those of you who, we may or may not in our lifetimes get a chance to actually have that experience ourselves, to view the Earth from space as we enter this era of, manned commercial space flight. Perhaps one day it'll be possible for us to experience it. Should we get on to the next one there, Chris?
Yes. Just for all of you, thank you so much, for sharing this journey with us. And as we said in the beginning, this show is part of the Global Days of Unity. And the Global Days of Unity is this once a month pulse that we invite you all to share with us once a month. And on the third weekend of every month, we share to the world all these different expressions of unity, peace, and love from all these different genres, from music, from science, from technology. And also, after this show, if you're seeing this show on Facebook or one of our many sites that are hosting this show, we'd love to invite you to come back to the Global Days of Unity site. And many of the offerings are also available as on-demand offerings. They'll be there for the whole month. So please, take some time and come back and check the site out. And we'd like to play this little mashup video of some of the presenters for this month who shared their hearts and their offerings with us.
Namaste. Hello, everyone.
Hey, dear beloveds. Namaste to beings of light from all around the world.
More than ever, we need to come together as a planet
to infuse and amplify,
to inspire the world with love,
to sit together and share the knowledge,
and to uplift the global vibration.
We can come together in a very special way.
I want to invite you
to Global Days of Unity,
this wonderful event
of unity, peace, and love, which happens on the third weekend of every month,
which occurs this month on the 15th and 16th.
This month I will be offering the Dance of Spirit,
and I will be speaking about the global environmental movement.
And we will meet you on 15th, 16th August as we come to you with some beautiful bhajans from the land of India.
I'm extending an invitation
to come together on a deeper level and generate enough positive energy and vibe
that we connect with each other in these extraordinary times. This is our time to shine.
I love you. See you.
And I look forward to being with you.
I'll see you there.
So that's just a little taste of some of the offerings that we're sharing this month on the Global Days of Unity. And they're pretty amazing, from the deserts of Israel to India and America and Australia. And we'd love for you to come and join us and experience that. So as we said, they're on the Global Days of Unity site at www.globaldaysofunity.com, and you can take your time and enjoy them. So we've come to the end of our session, and we're going to play one more video for you and just take the energy up a little bit. And this inspirational video was created by Tasha Blank, who's an international DJ from New York City. She's also a writer with a background in psychology and somatics. And this is a great video because it really brings this sense of dance, and our bodies are meant for movement. So we hope you enjoy this video.
We were born in motion. After 9 months unfurling to our mother's heartbeat, cells multiplied into systems, building bones and brains and blood, pulses synced, composing spines, formulating feet. Then something happened. As we learned to balance on our own 2 feet, we learned there was a right way and a wrong way to move them. We learned there were rules to being human. We learned to speak when it was our turn, walk in single file lines, squeeze our wild into business suits and pretend that we feel fine. We stopped listening to the humming of our veins, signed off from the senses that shake us awake, and we chose screens over flesh, minds swept up in a fury of distraction. We forgot that every time we breathe, I inhale part of you and exhale part of me. We forgot that we all share the same pulse. We forgot there is another way, and that we've known it since that tiny cluster of cells turned into the first kick in our mother's womb. See, we've got a direct line of communication to the rhythm living in the space beneath our minds, the one that beats our hearts in time. Part of us has always known how to dance. And when we do, we remember that the user's manual we picked up on the way to this planet is in our guts. Rhythm will rewire our lives if we let it. If we return to the dance floor, rediscover the beat that goes straight to our bones, stomp our feet until sweat falls in our eyes and we're moving too quick for society's grip to hold us back. What if we could rise up from where we're rooted, meet each other like a long-lost harmony, dance as if we shared the same five senses, as if our feet were planted on the same small planet, our veins running the same red blood. We'd forget why we ever stopped listening. We'd forget why we fought ourselves in the first place. We'd forget why we fight each other. We'd forget all the made-up lessons we learned along the way because we didn't have to go to school for this. This is who we are. This is what we're made of. This is why we came here. We came to dance.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this session of the upload on the Global Days of Unity weekend. May we continue to, all of us around the world, continue to shine unity, peace, and love with our families, with our communities, and may that resonate all across the world.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for showing up. Love you all. Thanks for giving us your attention.
Thanks, beautiful global community, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.